Je donne la parole au représentant du Bahreïn.
I give the floor to the representative of Bahrain.
Thank you, Mr. President. My delegation would like to exercise its right of reply to respond to the allegations made by the delegation of Qatar. Namely, the four countries have exercised their sovereign right to blockade Qatar, to exercise their security and stability, and to oppose the interference of Qatar in the internal affairs of other states. Qatar has continued to finance and support terrorist groups, which has destabilized some countries in the region. This country also supports extremism and coordinates with terrorist groups to overthrow some systems. This sovereign decision is based on the texts and principles inspired from international law, which guarantees the right of states to maintain their peace and security. Qatar's many actions are not limited to Bahrain in 2011. But Qatar has supported terrorist groups in Bahrain and provided them media support as well. Bahrain has put up with these attitudes from Qatar for far too long. The Kingdom of Bahrain has proof showing this interference in our internal affairs and these attempts to sow chaos and threaten the social fabric of our country. Qatar's lack of respect for the sovereignty of other states in a way that contradicts the purposes and principles of the United Nations and the provisions of international law have also destabilized the Gulf Cooperation Council. Qatar did not respect the 2013 Riyadh Agreement either, nor did it respect its annex adopted in 2014. We therefore coordinated with Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and the Republic of Egypt to constrain Qatar and force it to respect its commitments and end its support for terrorism. However, Qatar did not heed our calls and continued its support for terrorism in the Gulf and in the Middle East. Mr. President, on the subject of the allegations that violations of human rights were committed by these four countries, this is false. The Qatari people are a brother people, and Qatar continues to focus on issues that do not exist and is trying to make international public opinion and the Qatari people believe that the four countries are violating the human rights of its people, that this is a plot, and Qatar is very much stressing this theory of a plot in everything that it says, asserting that these countries are committing human rights violations. A Qatari tribe was deprived of nationality, and that on the subject of the blockade, everything that we have done was to exercise our sovereign right to close our airspace and our territorial waters. However, Qatar can always continue its import and export activities, and Qatar says that its economic growth has not been impacted by our measures, and that the maritime and air corridors are still open. This contradicts the Qatari allegations that we have just heard. The emergency air corridor was created to ensure passenger safety. Mr. President, to resolve this crisis with Qatar, it must be understood that what we have undertaken, the measures we have undertaken, aimed to protect our security and came in response to attempts by Qatar to interfere. Qatar must change its attitude, and the four countries in question stand ready to engage in dialogue with Qatar if Qatar demonstrates a will and a desire to stop financing terrorism, to stop interfering in the internal affairs of other states, notably these four states, our four countries. Qatar must commit to the full implementation of the 2013 Riyadh Agreement and the supplementary agreement from 2014 and its implementation mechanisms. Qatar must then demonstrate a commitment to engage in dialogue with our countries. These are sovereign measures to remedy Qatar's behavior, which aims to fracture the Gulf Cooperation Council and destabilize some countries in the region. Qatar must understand that these measures are illegitimate. Thank you.
Je donne la parole au représentant.
I now give the floor to a representative of Pakistan.